there's a lot around this deal that doesn't maybe sit well with me. Last 6 months of his contract, the fee that they're supposedly getting for him, I think that's huge. Agents' fees around this. The agents' fees is probably the more pressing matter, I think, within this one. 7 to 10 million, supposedly they say around about 10 million. The fee that Manchester City supposedly balked at, they were never going to pay that sort of fee for an agent. And United are paying it. United's agents' fees bill over the last 2 or 3 years has been astronomical, and I feel that it's way too high. I think the game maybe need to do something to stop this size of fee. I understand that an agent who's doing a great job for a player, his client, 10 to 15%, yes, but the agent's fees now, they're almost half what the transfer value is, or half what the player's contract's worth. I just think it's getting way out of hand, and I think that sort of money could be staying within the game.
Yeah, well, there was a report in the Telegraph yesterday that the Premier League and the Football League are going to launch a review into all of this and sort of see where they're going. I think it was like a 40% increase in Premier League agents' fees over the 12 months up to January 2017. I think it was up to over 200 million, or in that sort of range, up 60% in the Championship. Like, they're phenomenal monies. And from what you're saying, you obviously subscribe to this theory that this is money that isn't going back into the game. But like, in a lot of ways, it is kind of monopoly money that these clubs have, that they kind of throw around just to get business done.
But it's just, you still got to have an element of responsibility, though, Adrian. That's what I would say with it. And it seems that an agent now, as you say, it is monopoly money. There's so much money within the game now. So, as we've spoken about maybe in the past, transfer fees, wages, it's almost becoming irrelevant. So I suppose, yes, the agent's fees would rise off the back of that. But now, an agent can demand anything that he wants, and there's got to be some, because the legislation has changed over the last 4 or 5 years regarding agents' fees. Agents now can now demand anything they want. And how on earth can a club with anyone within the right mind start to be paying an agent 10 million? You look at Ross Barkley's deal. Ross Barkley moves for Chelsea for 15 million. An agent's paid 7 million off the back of it. It's just crazy stuff, and I just think it's wrong. I do think it's wrong. I don't see any sort of reasoning why an agent should be paid that sort of money. Mino Raiola, look at him, who's taken Ibrahimovic, he's taken Lukaku, he's taken Mkhitaryan to Man United. The fees that he's been paid over the last couple of years by Man United, it's just I find it bad for the game. I do. I don't think it's great in any way, shape or form, and I don't think it's going to change maybe going forward. And that's why I think the Premier League, the FA, whoever it's going to be, or maybe the authority in general, FIFA, I think they need to get hold of this one, because I think it's getting out of hand.
I don't fully agree with that, Kevin. UEFA released a report this week to show that agents got 13% of all transfers between 2013 and 2017. So I don't think they're exactly getting...
but we're talking at the top end, though, Owen. We're talking at the top end, which is always the case, that maybe starts to cloud maybe a lot of judgment. Across the board, that's 13%. But I think the top fees, how can you justify it, Ross Barkley going to Everton and an agent being paid 7 million? Well, actually, how can that be justified?
In this UEFA thing, they say the typical agent commission for smaller deals of less than 100,000 was 40%. So that would suggest that the smaller deals are actually getting a higher percentage in terms of an agent's fee. I just think, okay, I do agree with certain aspects that you're saying, and there is a problem here, but I do think there is an overreaction. Like, you have Alex Ferguson coming out and calling Mino Raiola a shitbag a couple of years ago, or was it last summer? And there's just there's this picture painted of these agents as complete villains. Why haven't these players left their agents? If they're so bad for the game, why haven't the players left them? They're getting them a nice profit, as Adrian says, essentially monopoly money. The money's going to be in these football clubs anyway. And you have these Anderson quotes with Andy Mitten this week, which we spoke about. He loves George Mendes. He managed to get him a great deal. He managed to bring his football career to the level it could possibly get to. And essentially, I think that the players are the guys benefiting here. And if they were these villains that Alex Ferguson likes to paint them as, then I would see a lot more players. There would be an exodus almost from agents. No.
Yeah, well, I'd never suggest the villains, because at the end of the day, if an agent can get it, they're going to take that sort of money. The problem being, look how many agents are getting that sort of money. I would probably say it's 3 or 4 agents right at the top end. You look at the equal spread across the game within agency, and I think you'd find it wouldn't necessarily be being even spread. You look at George Mendes. Yeah, the reason why you're with those agents is because those agents have almost monopolised the game, where they've got the real top clubs They've got all the chairman, the owners of the football clubs. They've got their ears, and those owners and chairmen will only essentially, at the very, very top end, that is, deal with those big agents. So across the board, a lot of the agents are getting moved out of the game. They're not able to get into it, and it's almost as if they're getting pushed away because those real top agents are getting all the deals. My big how can again, I go back to my point what I was saying to there, and how can it be right that agents are getting that type of fee from deals going into football clubs? Raiola, that was when Paul Pogba was at United originally, when Alex Ferguson called him whatever he called him. He called him that because he was basically trying to manipulate Paul Pogba, and he's probably done right by Paul Pogba. And again, that's not my issue. But my issue is the size of fees that agents are getting paid now, because they're saying the top 5 or 6, maybe 10 players in the world, they're under 1 or 2 agents. So ultimately, an agent can demand what he wants to get that player into the football club. That cannot be right, I don't feel.
Yeah, like I had that UEFA thing about the lower clubs there, actually, because I wanted to ask you about that. And like just to repeat it again, that the smaller deals of less than 100 grand are garnering 40% towards the agent in these deals, which I just find absolutely incredible. Like I know you've got good sources at the likes of Preston North End and stuff, and I know that the deals will be bigger than 100 grand there, but maybe you know people down in League 1 and League 2 where 100 grand might be the going rate for a transfer here. Is this a serious problem down in those divisions that we don't know about? Like 40% seems absolutely ridiculous for a transfer.
Well, yeah, I think that is the thing. I mean, yeah, again, just maybe back to the original point we're talking. The higher you go, the percentage it's less. Obviously, the more money that's going to be paid anyway. So we know that. But you're right in saying that. But it's always been a problem there, and we've had Fintan Drury on the show over the last year or two, saying that when legislation changed, it was about 3 or 4 years ago now, within agency, it basically became an open court. It became an open ball because what happened was anyone could become an agent. You, I, agent, anyone can become an agent now, and that's the thing. What happens within the game now? You don't necessarily need a license. You could actually represent a player if you're doing the right thing by him, but the problem being, as you say, further down the line, even at youth football now, youth football agency within youth football, you see agents now, they're going scouting players at 7, 8, 9. We spoke about it this week. The money that's in the game at youth football within the academy system now, agents are starting to recognise that there's a way and there's opportunities for them at that level. And again, if you're doing the right job, I have got no problem with that. There is no issue with that as well. But that percentage of the fee, it's not in proportion with the rest of the game. And I don't know, there's a number of issues I think that do need to be addressed, but the top end is of real concern to me, I feel.